In this video, we will show you how to replace your window regulator on this Ford Ranger. This will be located behind your driver's side door panel. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. Start by removing the two Phillips head screws inside of the grab handle area. Let's continue on with a plastic trim tool. We'll make our way in between this area and gently separate it. Keep in mind there is wiring harnesses behind each one of your switches. To disconnect your wiring harnesses, locate the locking tab, squeeze it in, and release the wiring harness from the switch. Every time you disconnect an electrical connector, give it a quick inspection. If you see any funny colors, that's probably corrosion and it would need to be dealt with. Continue on down the line. We'll give the switch panel a quick inspection as well, and we can set this aside. With the switch panel out of the way, we'll continue on with our plastic trim tool. We want to separate this panel from the door. Just go ahead and make your way in between that area, and then we'll make our way up behind here. You'll find that you have another small clipped area. Just go ahead and pry that out of place as well. Continue up along this area. Pull this out of place. A quick inspection and we can set this aside. With that out of the way, let's continue on with some Phillips head screws. We've got 4 of them here. When removing the 2 along this area, keep in mind this is holding the bracket to the door. You don't want to drop that bracket. We'll set this aside. Let's move down to the bottom corner of the door. We have a Phillips head down here. Get out of there. Take hold of the door panel and we can lift it up and start pulling it away from the door. Set that aside. Now we can remove the vapor barrier. Go ahead and take hold of that and start pulling it away from the door. You do want to reuse this, so be careful not to tear it. We're going to have to make our way quite a bit over towards the front door speaker here. This is good enough. We'll just tuck this aside. With the vapor barrier out of the way, the next thing that we want to do is pay attention to where the window regulator comes across. We want to make sure that we hold the window in some way so it won't be able to fall down when we do go to remove the window regulator from the door. We'll carefully use some locking pliers. We don't want to cause any damage here. We just want something that can actually squeeze on it. You can use pretty much anything that will hold this in place. Once you've done so, make your way down to the window motor wiring harness. Go ahead and pull that little tab out of the way and we'll pull this down and out. Just give both ends a quick inspection. At this point, we can continue on to removing the 4 rivets that hold the window regulator in place. Do not remove these rivets until you're sure you have the window in a situation where it's completely secured. This is very important. To remove your rivets, punch out the center and then use a drill bit. When drilling this area out, be extremely careful not to cause damage to the door itself. Once you have that able to press free, continue on doing the exact same thing to all other rivets. Be extremely careful on the last rivet. This will want to fall down. Now that we have this one out of here, we can continue on to the other 4, driving out the center and then remove as much of the head as possible. Now we can drill this out. At this point, we can continue on to our final rivet, driving out the center and removing the outer portion. But keep in mind, at this point, there will be nothing else holding this window regulator inside of the door. So once you do remove that, this is going to want to slide down. Be extremely careful for any pinch points. Never put your fingers inside of this area while you continue. Carefully hold on to that regulator. Now we can take hold of the regulator, start sliding it towards the forward aspect of the door, sliding the window regulator out of the window channel along the bottom of the window. Now we can take hold of the window regulator and start removing it from the door. When doing so, we'll be paying attention to where the window regulator goes into the channel along the bottom of the window. What we'll have to do is carefully lift up on the window at the same time as trying to pull the window regulator adapter out of the window channel. We'll remove the window regulator and then slowly lower that window down into the resting position. There it is, friend. There we go. Now that we have the window regulator out of the door, the next thing we'll do before we continue with our brand new one is to clean and inspect the sliding points of the rest of the window regulator assembly. You will find that you should have lubricant along several areas. Go ahead and clean that area and re-lubricate it. Got some nice clean grease here. We'll lubricate inside the channel. Get way all the way across the top and the bottom. Nice. Let's lubricate this shaft area here. I want to make sure you get all the way around if possible. Okay, let's get ready to install that brand new window regulator. We'll take this and put it in place. Once we have it inside the door, we need to carefully lift up on that window again and slide our window regulator inside of the window channel along the bottom of the window. Once you've done so, you can continue on with sliding the window regulator up into its proper mounting position and prepare to install all 4 of your rivets. Start bringing this down so we can align this as needed. There we are. I can see this inside the channel here. We'll bring this to its resting position. Make sure the window is secured. Carefully reach inside that door, take hold of your window regulator and align it properly. There we are. Just have to move that a little bit. I got one of my holes lined up here. Just get our rivet gun in place. Now we can pivot this as needed, get it aligned properly with the rest of the mounting points. If you have a hard time getting this to align at this point, you may have to either carefully raise or lower the window itself. Once you do so, go ahead and make sure you lock it in the proper position. Let's get these other rivets in here. Let's get this one started. Hardest part's holding it against the door at the same time as you attempt to use the rivets. Let's go ahead and find that wiring harness that should be hidden behind this area. Press it in, listen for a click. Tuck the wiring inside of the door, making sure that it can't get caught on anything. Remove everything from inside of the door. Now that we have everything together inside of the door, let's continue on by replugging in the window switch, put the key in the on position, and testing its functionality. Before you do any of that, it's important to mention, never stick anything inside of the door when you have things connected with key power on. Let's start reinstalling our vapor barrier. Let's take this. Now, typically, the vapor barrier should stick back in place. If it doesn't, you want to make sure that you do put some sort of adhesive to hold it in there. As we bring the door panel into position, there's a couple things that you need to pay attention to. You will have the area for the door lock to slide through. But along the back side of the door panel, you're actually going to have a hooked area. That hooked area will sit into the groove along the top of the door, along the window. With that said, let's carefully put this panel in place. Okay. You can see my door lock coming up through there. Press the door panel up against the door and slide it down to lock it in. Let's make sure we have all of our wiring harnesses up where we can gain access to them. Now we can continue on with our bracket. Go ahead and put this in position, start in both of the mounting bolts and snug them up. Get this screw in here as well. Let's make our way down here to the corner. Put on your trim panel. We'll have a look along the backside. You should have several push tabs. On the door panel itself, you will have the mounting points for each of those to slide into. Go ahead and align this and press it into place. Our wiring through the corresponding holes. There we are. Feels like it's set right in there. We'll press this in. Double check to make sure it's secured all the way around. Move along to your switch panel. Connect in all of the connectors here. At this point, we can take this and put it in place, aligning the locking tabs with their corresponding areas, and then we'll align our two mounting bolt holes down in this area here. Got our Phillips head screws. We'll put those directly in the center here. There's two of them that go into the grab handle. Okay, friend, we've got our vehicle back together. At this point, let's go ahead and test the functionality of all of our switches. Make sure you end in the unlock position, of course. We'll test the mirror switch. You can hear that working perfectly. All right, thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.